Well, greetings, everyone, from the heartland of America, straight to your heart, I'm hoping. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, joined as always each Sunday morning by my good friend R Wayne Steiger. And this is not your normal Sunday show. So come on in, settle in, grab your coffee, grab your toast, and let's talk about everything and nothing, Wayne.
Hey, listen, it worked for Seinfeld for over a decade.
It really worked well, didn't it?
It did. I mean, I was a faithful, viewer of that every Thursday, NBC. Absolutely.
Yeah, I caught it in reruns. I wasn't with the originals, but I think I was too holy during the original run to watch.
I can see that. I can balance that out. It's like, sure. All right. No problem.
So Wayne, I went to a dinner party last night. Is one of the, I don't do that very often, but I went to a dinner party and it was with some very wealthy people, and they happened to most of them be Christians. And when you're in that situation, I'm just asking you for advice. When you're in that situation and they say to you, "Hey Jeff, what do you do?" What is the answer for what we do?
We are self-life improvement consultants.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I like that.
We're dedicated to that. And of course, people look at you and go, "What?"
Exactly. Well, it doesn't help when you say, "Well, I have a YouTube channel."
No,
Because it can't be left there. It's got to go deeper and deeper. And then 20 minutes later, you're still trying to explain it without upsetting everyone at the table. It was very interesting.
My stepdaughter kind of went through, she's dating. And all I got to say is, man, I'm glad I'm not in that scene because it's brutal out there. And anyway, she's not a Christian. And funny story was that she met a guy and he said, "I don't think we're compatible." He says, "I'm a very devoted Christian and you're not."
Ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth? And of course, that it never blossomed.
But I learned some stuff. I'm there with, I know these guys are not billionaires, but, tens of millionaires. And yeah, I was thinking about how we're starting to hear it, and we're going to start to hear it even more throughout this election cycle about this thing about the evil rich, the evil rich, the evil rich, the evil rich. Now, I know there's probably some evil rich, and I don't know any billionaires, but those guys and ladies that I was with last night, salt of the earth, have your back. If things go down, I wouldn't want to be with any nicer people. So keep that in mind as you hear all these stories about the evil rich. The rich are not evil, and I've met a lot of poor people that are a lot more evil. So maybe when you start thinking about complaining about the evil rich, maybe take that energy and put it towards doing some more work, and who knows, you might be able to join them.
Well, the thing is that it's the rich giving out that message. I mean, if it's coming out of media, well, guess what? Someone owns that company. Someone's
That's
the CEO,
true.
and they're making more money. It's nothing more than division. If it's really interesting, Lynn and I were talking this morning, and I said, "Isn't it interesting that," I said, "how the world searches for peace? We hear this. We have to all get along." And I said, "You know what, sweetheart? The problem is most people can't get along with themselves,
Isn't
much
that
less
the truth?
others." I mean, I heard one person say, "Well, I don't have any problem with Ghost or whatever." But you know what? The guy was a real asshole. And I told him, I said, "The spirits don't want to be around you. They already know."
Yeah, that's funny. And one of the guys was a very renowned heart surgeon, and he flies all over the world to do heart surgeries. And he studied philosophy when he was in college. And great sense of humor. He says, "I used to ponder, who was God and all that. Now that I'm a heart surgeon, I know I am God."
Ooh, profound.
Of course, he was being funny, but it's interesting when you think about it.
I actually think that he was speaking more truth than what he realized.
Yeah, I think he was too.
That always leads into a good thought. I have been reading a book called The Multidimensional Man. And so let me ask you, what is your anticipation of after you die this physical death? What are you anticipating to be your first waking moment as the dead?
Well, I actually thought a lot about this, and I've done a lot of preparation for it. And what I now think I know is that when we go into that death state from this life state, typically what happens is it's like being born as we were in this state. I mean, people don't come in born, hi, how you doing, calm, relaxed, composed. They're screaming, they're yelling, they're crying. It's a huge shock to your system to be in a new realm from an old realm. And for me, the key is at that moment of complete shock, at that moment of complete newness, to be able to keep my awareness around me enough that I'll be able to decide where I go and what I do next in a divine, sovereign, and free fashion, rather than being frightened, scared, discombobulated, where I could be directed, led, or guided by forces that may or may not have my best interest at heart. So I want to be divine, sovereign, and free when I die. And I'm expecting that's one of the reasons why I do the polar plunge, because I mean, it doesn't get any easier. You always go into that 38-degree water and it's always the same. But the first time I did it, I'm coming out of the water saying a particular word that rhymes with duck over and over and over and dancing around in circles. But now I come out calm, composed on the outside, at least. So I think that's a one part of a training for what happens when I get to that place that you're asking about.
It's interesting. We welcomed a new grandson into the world on Friday.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And wish we could give you a name. Parents haven't given a name
People
yet.
don't do. People wait now. I mean, my aunt, my cousin had a baby, and that poor kid went almost 2 weeks without a name.
Well, now it's by law where this child was born, you have to have a name before you leave the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so he came into the world by C-section, and his parents were prolific on the camera. And my point to this is, when little dude came in, he looked like an alien.
They all do.
Yeah, but seriously, and here's my point. When they took him out of the womb, you're all squishy. I mean, man, you're swollen.
Yeah.
And within 6 hours, his body began to adapt much quicker because he did not go through the vaginal.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so I'm looking at this child in the video, and it reminded me something in this book I'm reading last night. I was almost going to text you, but it was late. And here's the interesting thing. He made a quote about babies. He said that the simple truth is, babies, the reason why we have to approach going into the next realms as how we come into this realm is that babies have no anticipation of the future. Nor do they have any balance between pain and joy.
That's interesting.
And he said that as he practiced out-of-body lucid dreaming, that the way that you go in a dimension higher is that you literally have to approach it that way. Interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So just at that moment, you go, wow, okay.
Wayne, have you ever done any intentional work with like contacting spirits, talking to spirits, people that are departed?
No.
Can I ask why?
Yeah, because I can do it.
Yeah.
And I don't like the voices, they get too crowded.
Oh, that's interesting. Interesting. I did yesterday I went to a Civil War battlefield and went to where the Union lines and Confederate skirmish lines were. And interestingly enough, I was using the rods and asked if any of the Union dead that might still be, asked if there was any Union dead still hanging around. Yes. Asked if any of them wanted to talk to me. No. So I asked again.
Wow.
No. And then I went over to the Confederate lines. Does anyone here? Yes. Does anyone talk to me? Yes. And ended up talking with a Confederate guy. But when I got home, I was exhausted. I slept for probably 3 hours, and I'm just wondering. It has to be that when you start entering into those other realms, I think it drains you physically.
Boy, I'm glad, it's an interesting topic. I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but it's very interesting to me because part of my study is the kinetic energy. Obviously, the spirit realm exists. In fact, the more I read, most of us are going to wake up, and it's going to take us as story after story convincing that we're dead. Unless you have a very tragic death that has a lot of, kinetic energy to it, most people go on thinking that they're still alive.
Do you really think that's true?
I'm beginning to believe that is the case because,
Very interesting.
Let me ask you, all right, so we come out of the charismatic movement. We saw the miracles of 1 Corinthians 12, all the gifts of the Holy Spirit manifestation. Kenneth Hagin was known to be a prophet and prophesy of future events. Copeland's the same way, and there's many others. And the healing services, seeing bodies being healed, seeing demons being exorcised. All right, so that establishes something. And the thing that I look at it now, it's a takeaway of how do you get that energy? So you're draining. They're pulling on your life force energy because that's that silver cord. It's the interesting thing about these bodies. If you think about how the brain processes spiritual information, does it do it the same way it does with ordinary data?
I don't know. That's a fascinating question. And unfortunately, I was being filmed, so I didn't see the chat. And somebody asked during the chat, asked him if his name is Joshua, and I didn't see it in time. But afterwards, when I saw it, before I left, I did ask. In fact, his name was Joshua. So we have some people that are pretty tuned in. And a lot of people said, oh, you should have asked him if he wanted to leave. And I off camera, I actually did ask if he wanted to leave. He said, no, he was quite content to stay there. So I was quite content to let him.
So interesting. Jürgen Zawi is the guy who wrote this. Talking about that, about the departed, recently departed. What people don't understand, their time has stopped. They're aware of, as what he was writing, they're aware of the movement, but for them, time hasn't moved on. They're still there in the mid 1800s. And it's really quite interesting. As you said, you're preparing. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not going to be this victim of going on the other side and hoping that I've got celestial parents going to be there to birth me into it.
I think that's very wise. And that's probably why we keep circling back around or whatever happens until we start to be very until we take ownership of it and do the work and decide that we are going to be ready.
Yeah, well, I keep on, when we talk on this subject, you and I were talking, in fact, you did one of your programs on this, that what most Christians are falsely believing in is a resurrection of the body. There's no resurrection of the spirit that I read of anything.
Well, certainly, and I did do a couple of programs on this. Certainly, if you, and here we are Sunday morning, if you accept Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, if you ask Jesus and the Father into your heart, if you take the blood of Jesus to cover your sins, they tell you very plainly in the Scripture that you have entered into a covenant which guarantees that your mortal body will be raised again and again, but you have, through that covenant, cut yourself off from the chance of moving into immortality. And if you want to do that, you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. But you ought to know that you have just signed up for a lifetime of mortality in this body, and you have sold your soul literally, and you've given up your opportunity for immortality. They didn't tell you that part, but
no, and cheaply, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
cheap. I mean, yeah, and I think that this is the only way this reincarnation karmatic cycle, the the Oberus, that it never ends. It's complete insanity to me. The more I study, and we've been studying all of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And this point in my life, I have the opportunity to really study deep. And I'm like, wait a minute, time out, time out. This is insane. If every wise man, every Christ, every Buddha, whatever has come, I haven't seen one of them yet, Jeff, that as I examine this now, that I want to buy into. And this is where I'm at this stage of my life. I'm looking at this and I'm going, I don't like any of these gods.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like any of them. It would seem like that would be a prerequisite for worship, maybe.
I agree. And there's that old saying in the Christian church, everybody has a God-shaped hole in their heart, and it's never going to be filled until you find God. And either that, in my opinion, that has either been culturally engineered into us, culturally inculcated into us, or it was outright engineered through DNA tampering, because there does seem to be this longing to worship something. But I think that is a flaw in either in our mentality or in our physical makeup, because we don't have to worship anything. And one of the keys I've found in this life is that anything that wants worship, anything that desires worship, is not really a true divine entity.
It's the one flaw I find in magic, is that most of the magic that I read coming out of the Middle Ages is all been contaminated with the contaminating of the Christian doctrine of the Jewish deity.
Absolutely. In fact, Lon Milo Duquette, who's probably one of, if not probably one of the foremost hermeticists in America. And I spoke at a conference with him, and I shared that with him. I said, I understand the power of ritual magic, and I understand there's a lot of people that have gone before me, but I just don't understand why we have to invoke the name of Yahweh and bring in this old Christian doctrine. And he looked at me and says, well, just don't.
Well, you know what, Johnny Ringo, I happen to agree with you, Bubba.
He says, just don't use anything you want. It's your magic.
And
I'm like, ooh, Lon Milo Duquette. I like that.
And that's how I've approached this now. The epiphany hit me on Monday. We're on my channel. We've been doing this study of sigils.
Yeah, I've been watching,
and it's fascinating. The more I get into it, the more I'm convinced we are immersed in a magical spell world.
Oh, absolutely.
I think, Jeff, this is just where I'm coming at. I think these eyes, they're under a spell. There's these incantations. The sigils are everywhere.
Oh, they are.
And I think they emanate very powerful energy. And I think that the dead know this as well.
I think they do. And all you have to do is look at the corporate imagery, look at the advertising imagery around you, and you'll see lots and lots of sigils.
Oh. Now, my wife is a very practical woman, and of course, you've met her.
I sat next to her for a couple hours,
and she's not someone that, Anyway, I love the woman. She has been a special gift. It tells why I got favor in my life. But anyway, I digress. Yeah. She came to me the other day, and she says, she says, because she deals with a lot of medical, pharmaceutical, and what have you. She said, every damn company's got these sigils.
They do.
And she says, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. And it goes deeper than that, Wayne. I think that I can say without fear of contradiction that every major company not only has sigils, but employs black magicians.
I think, wow. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
I contend every government has sorcerers.
Oh, no doubt about it. there are black magicians involved in all politics and all governance.
Yeah, they're on the payroll.
Lit T says that you can even notice pedophilia symbols on children's hospital gowns.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It is everywhere.
It's so I kind of feel like I'm in the swimming pool and I thought I was in the deep end, and I'm still in the kiddie pool because here I am waking up to this knowledge that I think the most intermediate sorcerer wizard would know, and here I'm finally going, hey, wow, Steiger, these freaking sigils are powerful magic.
They are.
And
the thing about a sigil is it's powerful whether you know it or not, or whether you want it to be or not.
Yeah, it is. It's very growing in the grocery store now is a real trip. I said it's like we almost need our own talisman. You need.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I'm having a sigil made, and I'm going to be charging it as a talisman, because now I'm convinced is that it's like when you're driving along and all of a sudden your mood changes just like that. And it seems like you can move on along and all of a sudden you get back and you go, well, why did that happen? I've been in conventions where a certain person will walk by and you can just sense that there's something. And I used to say it was, something different. Now I understand most likely they were a sorcerer, a magician of some kind.
Absolutely. It's craziness. We do live in a crazy world. Oh, it's just we've got an invasion of trolls, and it used to make me mad, but now it really does make me happy because at
least they're here.
Yeah, you're not much of a cowboy unless you're taking a few arrows.
So and
they're gonna, even if they don't want to hear something, they'll hear something good. But you know where they're coming from. It's silly, but hey, it is what it is.
I don't know. When you said that, I had a picture of Blazing Saddles in my head.
Yeah.
Remember the scene where the blacks were in the wagon train, behind the wagon train? And when the Indians attacked, they did their own little. Anyway, I digress. But the thing is, they're learning. And I'd like to,
whether they want to or not.
Yeah. I get emails all the time, people thanking me. They thank us. A lot of people look forward to this show.
Absolutely.
Sunday. And I had one gentleman write me, and I'm not going to give any names, but he was from Tulsa. And I'll leave that as it is. And Tulsa, as you know, it's really kind of the heart of the Bible Belt.
Tulsa really is. I've been to Tulsa, and there's a restaurant there where Waylon Jennings used to always eat. So I was very honored to plant my butt in the very spot where Waylon Jennings' butt had been planted many times.
The interesting thing, and I'm digressing here on the ORU University, is that monolith that they erected.
Oh, I haven't ever seen ORU.
Yeah, well, go and look on Google and check out ORU. There's an energy over Tulsa. It's powerful, but
interesting.
He wrote and he said, I want to thank you. And he said, I come out of, get this, the Assemblies of God and the Southern Baptists.
Wow, he got both sides.
That's what I said. Lynn came out of, Southern Baptist. She used to say that she worshiped the whack-a-mole God because it was like every time sigils. It's powerful. Christianity uses them, and Judaism uses. Every religion uses sigils. Absolutely,
especially the Abrahamic ones.
Yeah.
Somebody's mentioning United Airlines. Look at the United Airlines trademark. I haven't looked at that one specifically.
Yeah, I have.
But that's interesting. And I just noticed something, Wayne, and or I saw it on a couple of days ago. I think it was on Drudge, and I think that in 2020, all of this flat earth nonsense will be gone, because I'm sure you noticed it. Starting in 2020, the NASA is going to welcome tourists to the ISS.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually go up to the International Space Station for $35,000 a night. You can stay in an Earth view room. And what are the flat earth people going to do when it's normal people on the ISS taking pictures of a round Earth. It's over.
Listen, I'm still trying to figure out how they're rationalizing, a magnetic pole reversal.
Yeah.
And we are in the midst of one. And yeah, I don't know. It's so odd. We have people that listen to us over in Australia.
We do. Somebody just called us Sunday Space Cowboys. I like that.
I like that. That's cool.
That's like Steve Miller, right?
Yeah, I love
Some
that.
people call me a space cowboy.
And then the famous movie with Clint Eastwood, the all-star Tommy Lee Jones, Space Cowboys. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
That was a great flick, man. I'll tell you what. Never forget the scene with Tommy Lee Jones as he's being rocketed off to the moon.
That was a good movie.
That was a good movie.
It's been a while since I thought about that one. What was the one where they left Bruce Willis on the moon? That was
wasn't it Armageddon?
It was Armageddon.
Yeah,
and with Steve and Tyler's daughter in it.
Yeah, and it's really odd. I saw this article today. I think it was on The Drudge, in fact, that the whole industry of doomsday,
it's not just on YouTube.
No, it's everywhere, and they say it's an industry, and it's almost addictive.
It is addictive. I think you said it, that the fear produces the same type of endorphins that joy does. Mm-hmm. And these, I'm trying to be a happy warrior and not call people bad names anymore, but these people on YouTube that are producing the fear porn know what they're doing. Most of them understand what they're doing, know it's addictive, and it all comes down to the clicks and the subscribers, which really means the dollars.
That's what it is. And it's all this fear thing that, Forrest Gump said it, shit happens sometimes. And, sometimes we're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, meaning our planet. Yeah. That's why, I know this, that the universe is a wild, wild place.
It is.
And we haven't figured out, I was watching today, Ben Davidson, and now the white paper that came out in one of the physics journals is now saying we may have gotten all these measurements wrong, that maybe things are not as far away as they seem.
Interesting.
It goes with dates. And
maybe time isn't as far away as we think. Go. And Wayne, I just don't understand how it's funny, because most of the people that do the fear porn, most of them are Christian based. If not straight out Christian, they're Christian light. And yet Paul shows very clearly as an enemy, showing how they're going to defeat you, that the true gods have not given us a spirit of fear, which translates to timidity, cowardness, or fear. We don't have that spirit from the true gods, but that the Lord is the one that gives us the spirit of fear and of timidity. And conversely, the true gods have given us a spirit of self-control. What is it? That God has given us a spirit of fear, but of power, might, and a sound mind. So anything that comes and makes you feel fearful doesn't come from a place of divinity. Period.
And that's the paradox of the whole Christian faith. The Judaism, they know that their God's an ass. I mean, they know he's a vindictive, jealous God.
Yeah.
But the Christianity gives you this concept that, and I have my plaque right up there. I said, you ever show me the God of 1 Corinthians 13:4-8, that would be one I'd probably want to sit down and talk to. I think I could probably really have a good conversation with a God like that, but I haven't found that.
Yeah. Well, you find them every time you look in the mirror, don't you?
Yeah. And that's the thing about what Jurgen writes about. He says, our reality is going to be, how did he say it? The mindset that you leave Earth with is what materializes when you wake up.
Absolutely. Here's a great question from the chat room, and I've never really pondered it. Who was it? Jesse Jennings asked, what is fear?
It's a force. It's a living force.
Well, it's definitely a frequency and a vibration, right?
Yeah. And that would be another analogy analogous to it. Yeah. Yeah.
What is fear? Well, it certainly is disempowering, unempowering. I mean, it reduces you almost to immobility. It puts you as a deer in the headlights. And who would want you in that position?
Well, I think fear is also a parasite.
It's paralyzing. It is a parasite, huh?
It feeds off our faith.
It's impossible to have both fear and faith, or fear and power, or fear and self-control. I mean, if you're really in fear, you can't even control your bodily functions, can you?
Well,
People urinate on themselves because of fear.
we have so many here that are perpetual worriers, and this is why their manifestations always manifest, because they'll lay awake at night, worrying about money, worrying about the bills. It's always worrying about something. But
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Tracy said fear is ignorance, and in the end of the day, it really is.
It really is, and that's a very good observation, Tracy. I like that. It really is.
Kay Emma is in the house. I'm wondering if she's in the tub. The other night she was in the tub, so just
hey, peace. And isn't it odd how in Romans, I believe it is.
Ooh, it's an archon parasite. Furious, says he.
I like that. It's 14, chapter 14, where Paul says, anything that does not originate from faith is sin.
Oh, that's right. I remember that scripture.
Yeah. So taking that, you can extrapolate it from, whatever religion Paul was building. And you got to say, he did a pretty good job.
He did.
He did. He really did. So that's the thing that I think the archons feed off of. That's why they have to keep us in fear.
Interestingly enough, Emma says no, she's not in the tub. She's making pancakes. And Wayne, does it say something about my stage in life that the idea of her making pancakes is more exciting to me than the idea of her being in the bathtub?
You're just maturing, my friend. Just maturing. I like the idea of pancakes. That's what we're having. I mean, that's what Sundays are for, right?
Oh, yeah, that's the truth. Thank you, Kay, for being such a good sort. We appreciate it.
But that's the whole thing. And wow, as we were talking, because last night, this book is quite fascinating when you see on Monday, I'm going to be teaching how to do lucid dreaming. And
how did the teaching how to astral project go?
It fantastic. People just love it. And for good reason, because I think that it is what happens to us when we enter in this dream state of consciousness.
Yeah, I'm terrible at teaching it because I'm like, they call it unconsciously conscious. I can do it at will, but I can't teach anybody to do it.
Yeah, it's very hard. People say, how do you do it? And I was practicing it last night, and I told Lynn, I said, watch what happens here. And you can get in that lucid state. It's pretty cool. It really is.
Also, and this is something, here's my next project, and I keep talking about this and I keep forgetting about it too, is I'm convinced that there are multiple dimensions, and I'm convinced that there's probably multiple me's in those dimensions. Would you say probably so?
I'd say yay.
So my new goal is, since there are multiple dimensions and multiple me's, how can I leverage all the me's towards action in this dimension?
All I can tell you is what I've been reading last night on that very question. Apparently, you remember the movie Contact with Jodie Foster? Carl Sagan helped write that.
And Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember The Billionaire? And when he got Jodie Foster and she said, you figured out the primer. And he did. He figured out how the primer worked. It was in a multidimensional view of what the schematics were.
Right.
Well, you've just hit on something. There's multiple of us. We know that the brain, scientists have proven this. I did a whole article on it. We live in 11 different dimensions, our brain does. 11 different dimensions.
Interesting.
So that means there has to be in a connected atoms, molecules, a conscious level at some point in each one of those dimensions. So the
Yep.
point to this is, at one point, someone of you, of me, we're going to figure it out. And when we do, it spreads immediately. And it alters the atoms themselves of our very makeup.
That's powerful. And there's a fellow named Bert Goldman that has pioneered something called quantum jumping, and I paid for that
How
years
was that?
ago. It was powerful. I mean, whether it is actually jumping to other dimensions and meeting yourself, or whether it's just accessing parts of your brain here that you haven't, I found it to be very profound. And basically, his thesis is, if you whatever you need, there's a you in another universe that knows how to do it, and who better to get advice from than yourself? So you go into a meditative state, you go and see yourself in another dimension, you find out how to do what you need to do, you come back and you get her done. But I want to take it to the next step. Let's all work together. Let's all the Jeffs, I know it's a horrible idea to think there's more than one of me, but let's have all of those Jeffs work together to focus power into this dimension. And then I'll be happy to work with the other Jeffs and help them focus power in their dimension as well.
Thou shalt have no other gods before thee.
Ooh, yeah.
Now,
because you don't need to. You're powerful enough if you just leverage all your assets. Ooh, that's good. I'm going to write that down, Wayne. Steal that. I feel a show coming.
That's fine. You can go ahead and use it. This is what we use this show for. So the fact is that your and my reality of even death itself is going to be different.
Yeah.
It's like this. The guy brought out this. He says, so you have 3 aliens that are in a ship, and they're coming down to Earth. One lands in the desert, one lands into the tropical forest, and one lands in the Pacific Ocean. They return back to the mothership to give their report to the council. Each one of their reports would say that they each one were in a different world.
It's like the 3 blind guys and the elephant.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But think about that. And that's how reality is. That's how religion is. When I finally got out of the God spell, in fact, I'm working right now to coordinate time with Ken Humphreys, and the author of that Jesus Never Existed. But here's the point. I suddenly realized this. Jeff, all the realities that you and I share are only sharing. So why wouldn't the next dimension be the same way?
That's true. And that's why it makes me so upset when I hear people say out of one side of their mouth, we're powerful. We can manifest our own world. We can manifest our lives. We can create our reality. And then on the other hand, they say, oh, bad shit's coming because it's written. Which one's true?
So, the absurdity of the logic of that, and that's exactly what happens. I mean, it's like, well, now wait a minute. They talk about this state of mind that this religion brings to you, but the religion just brings confusion, fear.
Yeah. Hi, Miss Space Cakes. Nice to see her.
And that's true. And so it gets into this whole doomsday. You know what I'm so fed up with? I knew
it's a
Hilton,
long list, I'm sure.
Well, actually, the list is getting shorter, but Hilton Sutton was one of the renowned Bible prophecy teachers of his day.
I remember him.
Yeah. We had many delightful conversations. And before he died, I remember the last conversation that I remember him having. And he said, Wayne, it didn't happen. Meaning Armageddon.
Yep, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
And we keep expecting it, but everybody's expecting Armageddon, right, Wayne?
Yeah.
What would happen if we stopped expecting it?
Oh, now that's magic.
That is.
Now that's magic.
And all these people, we're powerful, and we are powerful. We can create reality. We can manifest. But all of these people under the blood poisoning still want but it is written. So what if it's written? I'm doing the writing now, Wayne. I got the pen.
And so let's talk about this a second, because, this is how I look at it. All prayer is telepathic. we've been practicing it, just practicing it on with the wrong deity.
Right.
Two, that every holy book, whether it's the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, whatever, was channeled or is some dude's imagination.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, when I did my
ooh, waffles sounds good too. Luna and Linda's making waffles.
That's mighty fine.
What do you prefer, Wayne? Waffles or pancakes? And it's really the same thing, just a different shape, right?
I don't know. With waffles, you always get the reservoirs. With
That's
pancakes,
true.
you have to build. I learned the thing about with pancakes, you have to cut the center out and then put the syrup in.
Why?
Well, then because the syrup isn't running everywhere, you have maybe I should be eating waffles all the time.
You should, because then you can keep your syrup contained within those.
There you go.
Confines.
It's like, wow.
I never really thought of that, Wayne. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, many people have different ways of doing
pancakes. Do have runoff. Are you worried about pancake erosion? I'm not sure what the problem is with this syrup running.
Well, it might be.
Although, if your butter isn't evenly dispersed, it will run off with the syrup, which troubles me.
Oh no, but that is actually kind of what you really look for, isn't it?
No, I want to get the butter on first, get it evenly dispersed, let it sink in, because I like a little buttery goodness in every bite.
Do you think that this translates over into the next realm, the next dimension?
Oh, you think there'll be pancakes in heaven?
I mean, I'm thinking about this because, the smell of food is such a strong elixir.
If there ain't pancakes in heaven, I don't want to go.
I mean, anyone who's ever gone to a county fair of any kind, you can always smell the onions, the onions that are being fried.
And the elephant ears.
What are those?
Those are those big fried dough things.
Yeah,
with brown sugar on them.
Yes. Funnel cakes.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Yeah. So
only I think funnel cakes have powdered sugar, right?
Yes, they do. That's correct. And then I remember in my youth, the women of that time, there was a perfume called Charlie. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember their advertising was very effective.
Yeah, and I mean,
I still have the song in my head. It's too high for me. I won't try to sing it.
That had so many pheromones to it that I can still when speaking of it, I can think the smell. Isn't that odd?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, they say smell is one of the most powerful senses as far as memory goes.
Yeah, I mean,
Tracy Dyer says, "Ugh, that stuff stinks."
Well,
Charlie.
So did High Karate. I remember that.
Oh, I remember High Karate. What was the one thanks I needed? That Aqua Velva.
Aqua Velva. It's like, yeah.
And then there was Old Spice.
Now in my day, I wore Boucheron. And
I never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's great. Still got some. But my point is that I wonder if that transfers over. They say that sensation.
That was another one.
Brute. Yeah, that was one. But I think about that. I mean, if pain apparently can be felt in the other dimensions, I wonder why can't they say
can I ask how you know that pain can be felt in other dimensions?
Well, I'm just reading by the testimony of others.
Okay.
I'm assuming that.
Aspen for men. I've never heard of that one.
Aspen for men.
I'll
have to look into that.
Never heard of that one.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that.
Gray flannel. That's a good one.
Yeah, I remember that one. So it's just one of these things I think about all the time. It's like,
now, in case any of you are wondering, Tracy Dyer's kryptonite is Abercrombie or
Drakkar Noir. Yeah.
Drakkar Noir. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
So grab you some Abercrombie and some Drakkar Noir and head to Missouri if you're looking for a woman.
But you see what I'm talking about? It's powerful stuff. It really is. And as we were talking, they say that foul spirits have a foul smell.
Leah Michael says the perfume she wears is called Sinner.
you wicked woman, you.
Wow, that's interesting.
Now you see, this is what I'm talking about. You see how quickly it triggers that response.
Yeah,
Everyone I'm seeing in the chat room too, people respond to it. We do,
it
and
does.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing I remember about Charlie is that it lingered with you the next day. I mean, you it's it's like, what the hell? I can't get this smell off of me.
Oh, do people with Alzheimer's and dementia, do they die without memories? Interesting question.
I can tell you this from my wife.
Oh, Johan. This is so funny. I've always messed up her name because it's spelled differently. But I met her at LeeCon, and her name is Joanne. It's just spelled Johan. I always thought she was a man, but she's not a man. I met her. She says she can look at an old picture and smell the moment.
Mm, I believe that, Johan. I believe that. I mean, if telepathy of thought, and this is the thing why I really do believe one day we're going to get there. And that's why I'm practicing it now. I'm practicing reaching out into the spirit realm, singing. I'm basically, calling the phone book. Is anyone there?
Hello?
Hello. Who the hell are you? Don't call me again.
Opium. I don't know if that means someone's on drugs or if that's a name of something.
It's actually perfume. Pretty powerful.
Oh, okay. White musk or poison for women. We got Sinner. We got poison.
See, what am I talking about here?
Yeah, interesting.
And then,
but you know what? I a lot of spiritual people. Oh, I'm too spiritual. I don't wear perfume and stuff. I'm sorry, but I still like a little perfume, Wayne.
Oh yeah.
Wait. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. You don't want to smell the pits.
No, come on.
No,
a little bit of fun. I remember I was preaching one time and I said something about making some offhanded comment about makeup, and I said every old barn can use a little paint. And then somebody yells out in the congregation, "Start a fire in the barn, it'll melt the paint off the outside."
And isn't it odd that you bring this up? So let's take this back to this whole mindset, sinner, poison with women, sexual. This goes back to Genesis 6.
Please expand.
Well, in Genesis 6:4, it talks about the fallen angels coming down.
Oh, yeah.
And I forget, I don't know if it was Zimjabwel. Now I have to get the name, but one of them taught women how to paint their eyes.
Oh, that's right.
And how to use spells of smell.
Somebody should thank him.
I'll tell you what, the dude tells me they have sex in heaven.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well,
that's interesting.
A
lot of talk about patchouli. I'm not a big fan of patchouli.
I am. It reminds me of my youth.
I bet it does.
Yeah, it does. I was a sex hound back in the day.
So patchouli can cover some bodily funk, can it?
Oh, yeah. It really can. It's a fact, Jack.
Well, you know what? They're talking about anointing oil and stuff. I wonder if how the head sweat would work as a perfume. That's interesting.
So this goes all the way back. I mean, again, it shows that there is sex in the spirit realm. There has to be. I mean,
I have to ponder that one, Wayne.
Well, here's the thing, my friend, and I challenge all the Christians here for this, and probably the Muslims.
Sexual magic. That's interesting. Perfume as part of sexual magic.
It is.
We got someone that tells us the difference between waffles and pancakes. And waffles, no, I think she's serious. In waffles, you whip the egg whites.
Ah, there you go.
How about that?
So I contend that if you look at the way that these deities are presented, most of them are homosexuals.
And speaking of that, here's a person that obviously is trying to troll. They say, sexual magic, my ass. Well, brother, however you want to work it, that's up to you.
Well, some people like it there.
And if you like it there, it's okay. You don't have to hide. Come
I
out.
mean, it's all right.
It's 2019.
You know, but that is the point. I challenge people a lot of times when they get in there. I'm saying, but if you look at this, you're telling me that the sexual union is so bad, but then that just seems like God is a homosexual. I mean, he's got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I never see the women.
They don't. Yeah, exactly. The woman is held down and really done away with for good reason.
I mean, written out of the story,
Absolutely.
They come in for the sex, and then it's like, all right, we move on. Let's see. Of course, God has sex. All of them demigods.
Interesting.
Listen, as in heaven, as above, so below. I mean,
that's good.
It has to be something, folks. I mean,
Wayne, let me ask you a question. This is a hard one. Is there any allowance, or is there any, I guess allowance is the best word. Is there any allowance or any place for recreational sex?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think all sex is recreational.
But what about the energetic implications of sharing in a recreational situation?
I mean, here's my point on this. I've known a lot of women, and I still share their energy to this day.
Willie Nelson and Julio Iglesias comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Here's to all the girls I've loved before.
But I still carry, I still remember the passion of virtually all of them.
Is that a good or bad thing?
I think it's great.
Okay, awesome.
I really do. I lived in this duality of this thing of, and I can tell you it was a problem in my first marriage, because the whole thing of what is a religious person supposed to do with sex?
Right.
Well, they never wanted to say what happens when you close the door. So what? I love my wife to be a saint, but behind the doors, I want her to be a whore. Do I not allow my sexual fantasies to play out in my mind? How do I do this?
Well, one thing I know for sure is this Judeo-Christian concept of sex, how it's supposed to be, and relationships, how they're supposed to be. It ain't working.
All it's done? It's made a bunch of hung up, prudish, split personality people.
And when you have divorce rates in the church higher than divorce rates in the general population, it's broken. It's not the way you say it's supposed to be. It ain't supposed to be.
Every mega church, every large church I went to, all had adultery within the leadership and congregation. I mean, come on, folks. This is what I'm just going to be candid with you. I've come to the point that you have to have balance in your life. But you know what? There's a reason why you're in a physical body. Enjoy it.
Betty Crocker in the kitchen, Betty Boop in the bedroom.
It's the truth. It is absolutely the truth. Listen, why do women wear makeup going to church then?
Oh, that's a good point. Depends on which church you go to, Wayne.
Well, I mean, everyone I've gone to, I mean, you can smell the perfume. The painted faces are on there. The braziers are all up there showing the bosoms. I mean, come on. Let's be honest.
That's true.
Listen.
And that's just on the pulpit.
There were many of the young boys who liked staying during the worship service. Why? Because when the women start really getting into the move, the boobs start moving.
And on that note, somebody deleted that comment. That was a good one. It said, the girls are hornier in church than they are in the bars.
Why'd they delete that? That's great.
Well, you never know. I'm a tyrant, so.
And that's the whole point here. Women know about the girls. I mean, those are that's magic.
Glamour magic.
Let me tell you, it's powerful stuff.
That's interesting. Glamour magic.
Glamour magic. Yeah. I mean, we're just being honest here. And, so there's the dichotomy of the whole thing of church and religion. You go in to worship this God you can't describe. some dead dude on a cross that, anyway, but all the women come in and you're not supposed to lust after them, right? Well, I like tits. You know what? And so you're telling me that because I see someone has a great rack that, I ain't supposed to look?
Yeah. And the thing, and since we're down this road,
I mean, I'll just be blunt. It's,
since we're down this road, if you're out there showcasing what you got and somebody notices, don't get mad at us. If you didn't want us to look, then you should have dressed differently.
Exactly.
I'm not saying, yeah, anyway, there you go. I said it.
I did a video shoot with Dolly Parton. And
I met Dolly.
And
it's very hard to look her in the eyes continuously.
It is. It truly is. It's just, it's like, all right, we're Crystal Gale.
I met Crystal Gale. That's weird. Yeah. She's beautiful.
Beautiful woman. Beautiful hair. I told her, I said, and I remember she told me.
But it was thinner than I thought, Wayne. It was not real thick and luxurious. Her hair is actually thin. It's long, but it's kind of thin.
Yeah. Yeah. She had a crystal shop there.
No way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In where?
In Nashville.
No kidding. Crystal Gale had a crystal shop.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So she's sort of a spiritual lady.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a pretty far out person, I thought.
Yeah. I wasn't even close to woke when I met her. So
yeah. And, boy, this has been
yeah, this has been from A to Z. And
but I think that we've got
Maria says they just get me for my boobs. It gets annoying.
Well, whoever designed it, I mean, really thought this thing out. I mean, yeah, they really did. I still marvel at the engineering of the human body.
When I was doing stand-up comedy, I had a whole bit about boobs, believe it or not. And,
did you really?
Big ones, small ones, all in between ones. And it was all about having respect for boobs. All boobs are beautiful. Yeah. There should be no boob discrimination.
I think it's a crime of society that they make women cover them up.
All boobs should be respected.
But then again, I think about all the accidents that would happen. I mean, I don't know. Although I have lived in a nudist colony. And,
have you?
Yes, sir.
I've always thought, and this, I've never really said this, Miss Space Cakes has always had problems with her boobs. That's interesting. And how long will it take for someone to say, let me know if I can help you? Not that long. But all boobs matter. That's right. All boobs matter. I love it.
Absolutely.
But if we were really, I think that true spiritual, if we could get naked, it would enhance our spirituality. But there's so much male boobs, not good. I agree with that.
Not good.
So much baggage for us to get there. I mean, yeah.
So what I found when the place where we camped out, it was a nudist camp. It was right off the Yuba River, outside Yuba City in California. Mm-hmm. And what I found out was that it became very natural.
Yeah. Maria says the coolest people she's met right in Nude Beach.
Yeah. And I knew families that brought their children up there. And, it was never sexual in the fact of meeting someone face to face because we didn't have any clothes on.
Yeah, but what if you meet someone that's really attractive? Do you ever get embarrassingly excited?
Well, I think it's pretty much known with most of the people that men will get erections. So it's not
Thank you,
something
folks.
To be ashamed of. It's a natural process.
Yeah, but dude, that's got to be uncomfortable.
It depends on who has the erection.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do, and you're walking around, all these people look at they look at the new guy over there.
Well, you're like, and that's true. But you know what? It's like anything else.
Teresa's been to a nude beach in Saint Martin. Says the people were so free. I'm telling you, if we could all wake up in the morning and do sun gazing together naked, it'd be a better world. But it's tough for us to get to that place because somebody said something about man boobs. Kay says man boobs as long as they fit the man, but no man should have boobs.
I still try to work my pecs out.
You got to, man. Do some sit-ups, not some sit-ups. Do some push-ups, bro.
It still happens, but Here's something, and I've contended this. The reason why we cannot reach our full spiritual potential is that we wear clothes to hide that which is within.
We got a bunch of freaks in here. Lit T went to the nude beach in Antigua.
Oh, we've got some very free-thinking people in here.
We do. Be fair for all boobs. That's right, man. I wish I could remember that whole bit. It was very funny.
I'm sure that would be funny. I would have loved it,
A song went with it. I had something to like My Country, 'Tis of Thee. I had something to that tune. And if I was on that night, the whole audience would be singing it. It was great.
I think I could almost pick up the first lyrics on that.
You can.
I kind of like
Liberty. Just let your mind go.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It was awesome. It was awesome. So yeah, I mean, but we all agree that nudity is freeing and liberating, but yet we still can't do it because of our hangups.
No, and we live in a how many times have I heard this, in a Judeo-Christian culture where we have morals and we have standards.
We do.
Yeah.
But see, that's the whole thing, because there's no way that you could be into, well, I guess there is a way, but it would be much more difficult to be in a society where nudity is open and free and to maintain these Judeo-Christian sexual mores and limitations that are put on us.
And all that does is
Genesis programmed us to be naked and ashamed. Tracy Dyer takes it right back to the very beginning.
Yeah, naked and ashamed. Naked. So
shame
why
is
did he make
equated with
bodies?
nakedness.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's because there's power in sexuality and they don't want us to know it.
Well, part of the sigil.
Oh, I got to read this. Steve Hawka, rock and roll. Oh boy, what did he say?
What's going on?
No, I'm not going to read that one. That's too much. We won't delete it, but I don't want to read it on the air.
I'll tell you, here's how I look at it. If we never made it forbidden, it would never be so desirous.
I remember Jimmy Swaggart saying to me, Jeff, the best way to get people to do something is to make a rule against it.
Exactly. They'll go and do exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
And I often think that, so whoever created these bodies, are they walking around naked?
Why would gods wear clothes?
I don't know. Is there modesty in the spirit realm?
What is modesty?
Apparently it's embarrassment.
Yeah. Why would you be embarrassed if it's beauty? I mean, beauty is beauty, right? And you know what it really comes down to? More than shame, probably today, is jealousy. Because if you're a man and your woman's like, ooh, if you're a woman and your man's like, ooh, then you're going to get all upset and out of shape and possess. It's possession, jealousy, possession. Yeah. Demons possess, honey.
Yeah, it's like
demons possess, my friend.
If you don't trust,
just making some points here.
If you don't trust them, don't be with them.
Lady Gray Raven says, my dog is naked all the time. Seems okay with him.
Oh, lady, I love you. That is so cool. They are, aren't they?
But the whole thing with kids at a nudist colony kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Well, I never saw a problem. I mean, now granted, I was, in my youth as well, but those children, no one bothered them. I mean...
And Karen Steele says she's sitting out back nude right now.
See?
There you go. Far out, man. Or lady. I think all shapes are beautiful in humans, says Kay. I like that.
Well, it's like this.
Uh-oh, breaking news. Luna Linda says dollies are not real.
Say what are not real?
Dolly Parton's boobs are not real.
She had them reduced. I know that.
Well, they may not be real, but they're really nice.
I'm going to tell you what.
Did I just say that out loud?
I don't know. It brought the whole Zsa Zsa Gabor and Johnny Carson scene.
Yeah, we're born naked, we die naked. I guess we don't. Well, I guess at the end we're naked. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's that kind of that maybe that transference of consciousness that you're always used to seeing yourself clothed.
Naomi says, I'm naked under my clothes.
Yeah, all the time.
But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, and this sounds a little bit weird, but if you don't look at yourself naked in the mirror, you should.
Yeah. If you're not, um,
You really
there's a
should.
spirit. The spirit is enjoying the travel of this body.
And you know what? We'll bring Jay Campbell into the conversation. If you're looking at yourself naked in the mirror, you may not be satisfied with what you see, so it may motivate you to make some changes.
I'm going to be candid with you. When I look myself in the mirror, I say, "You look beautiful."
Good for you, Wayne.
I lay hands on my body. I mean, you've seen me. I
have not. Wait a minute. I have
no,
not
no,
seen you.
Let me just put it, let's just put it this way. I keep myself in pretty good shape. And
I was when I met you, I was very surprised. You are in excellent condition. I thought, wow, Wayne is like he's yoked.
Thank you, sir.
I was and Cynthia's like, whoa, I didn't know Wayne was in such good shape.
So
because you only see you know, from the polytheism up on YouTube.
Yeah, that's it. But when I look at it and I go, you know, listen, if you don't tell your body that you love your body isn't going to love you.
That's a great point.
You know, it's like your body's going to say, "What the hell with this?"
Yeah.
You know, so
being naked in front of others makes us feel vulnerable. Yep.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah.
When I look at myself, I can't help but touch myself. Great.
All right.
Well, you just said you lay hands on yourself.
I do. I actually do. I speak to my genetic code.
And that's a whole nother thing too. When did self-pleasure become horrible? Again, from Judeo-Christian mores.
The sin of Onan, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and you know what people don't understand? Here's where the culture comes in. There was a time where I could see in a culture.
Miss Case kisses herself. That's enlightened.
That is very cool.
Like I'm thinking probably right in the mirror. That's enlightened. That really is. I like that.
Yeah.
I might kiss myself. I used to do it when I was a kid.
You see,
you look good. Kiss myself, in front of my sister because she thought.
Why did we do that? It's because it edified and built up our self-image.
Absolutely, we do it.
What's so wrong with that?
Jennifer Roberts was a dancer / stripper, and she can tell us that people love all different shapes. There's definitely no one perfect body.
No,
I like it.
You know,
I like it.
And if you even look at how social norms were, you look at the 1900s, very robust women were very much desired.
Yeah, the Renaissance figure.
Yeah, and I still like that. I think, I think a woman in that beauty. I never was one for Twiggy.
We're learning a lot about you this morning, Wayne.
Yeah, we are, aren't we? We've really gone over.
Lynn goes to work and everything goes to hell.
But my wife actually fits exactly what my preference is. So that's all I can say.
I'm still on the I kiss myself. I think that's a great thing to do.
I think that is profound. That's an awakened individual.
That is an awakened individual.
There's no doubt about it.
Wow.
Okay. Now, this has been a most interesting hour.
It has been the most interesting hour.
Yeah.
And we definitely are victims of social, cultural, religious programming.
We are. And I think
for some reason, James says that pole dancing is a great way to work out. I wonder if James himself pole dances.
I can tell you it's hard work.
Have you pole danced, Wayne?
I had a girlfriend that we actually had a pole in our bedroom.
So you have pole danced?
I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. But know it was good for her. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. She was a
I wonder if there's a man that do men pole dance? Is that a thing?
I guess they could. I mean, talk about an ab workout.
Yeah, that would be like Cirque du Soleil or something.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is it's exceptional stamina these women have.
Now, we know for a fact that our good friend Heidi Vandenberg pole dances for exercise.
I can see that. It's strenuous. It really is. I mean, and then that's, I guess, how you start getting away from the sexual aspect of it. Because if you look at it as a workout, I mean, I don't get horny over my barbells.
And Jennifer Roberts says that her granny used to kiss herself too.
See, Granny knew.
Granny knew what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Granny
So,
knew what was going on.
she knew.
Now anyway.
Granny at one time was a voluptuous woman of youth.
I was wondering, do gay men pole dance? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never explored that particular subject.
Pole dancing is super fit. It takes much strength. Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, it's
an hour spent pole dancing is much better than an hour spent in church.
I'd agree with that.
Yep.
I'd pay to watch that.
Belly dancing is cool.
Yes. That, a lot of these things that we look at today.
I don't remember this, but Steve Hawker quotes Napoleon Dynamite. There's a lot of things about Granny you don't know.
That was a good movie, by the way.
That was Vote for Pedro, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was an interesting movie.
That was. It was, little intelligent humor, they would say.
Absolutely. Well, any other revelations you want to give us, Wayne? Or
I had enough. I had enough, I know. It's like enough. It's been fun, though.
It has been fun. And we're definitely way too repressed.
We are.
And we're way too oppressed. So, yeah, we need to do something about that.
Boy, and you know what? I'll just say this, because one leads to the other.
Melanie just watched a YouTube of a guy swinging around a pole.
Huh. Well, there you go.
Okay.
YouTube's got everything.
They do.
They do. All right. Well, thank you, Jeff. It's been fun.
It has been fun. So I'm going to see if I can't go wrestle up some pancakes around this place.
All right. Yeah. I'll be doing the same thing.
Absolutely. But I will not cut a hole in the middle of them and fill it with syrup. That's just,
right.
It doesn't make any sense to me, Wayne.
It's one of those things.
It doesn't make. Somebody said email Jeff if you want to get his attention. Yeah. Gotham, like in Batman, LTD @gmail.com.
Yeah.
Send me good stuff because I use a lot of it.
Works.
Gmail.com.
Gmail.com.
Gotham LTD @gmail.com. Please do a show on infidelity.
Infidelity.
What is infidelity? Is there such a thing as infidelity?
You have to take it into the context. What is there? If you're, again, we have this culture. I guess we could get into that.
It's about ownership and possession, like you said.
It is. It really is.
And who is you know what? Our God is a jealous God. And when we act jealous, we're acting just like our God. And like Peter, I believe it was it Peter and Paul? Or no, it was Peter and James. Somebody that said, we cannot help but do the things we have seen and heard. It's in the book of Acts.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I mean, how do you get with Solomon?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, the guy had a harem, had 300 wives, 700 concubines.
Wow.
I mean, come on, folks. I mean, so you make double standard. You're saying, oh, well, it was so those heathens back there, what did they know? Hey, he was the smartest guy that ever lived, accordingly.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. So he apparently enjoyed tasting the variety of the harvest.
I guess he did.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here today. It's been not a normal Sunday show, that's for sure. And somebody said much better to spend an hour here than an hour in church. I would agree 100%.
And I agree, Tracy. He was a magician.
Wayne, tell us where we can find your powerful information.
R Wayne Steiger, come on over. Appreciate it.
And his YouTube channel is linked right on the front of mine under great channel. Subscribe now. And Wayne, did you notice that they took the similar channels or suggested channels off of your page?
Yes. Do you have one?
No, it's gone. I think it's gone across YouTube. I'm wondering why.
I heard that this is. I have. If anyone still has it, I'd like to know, because this is if it is, then we can see that they have selected recommendations, of which, by the way, I did talk to my congressman, the representative. There is some serious legislation being I think it's going to come out next year. Particularly, it's not going to be good for these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you mean for YouTube.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it does seem like they are picking and choosing. So
They are. So that's why yours and my, we're no longer on the recommendation list.
but I wonder if they did away with the recommendation list so they can say that they're not recommending anybody that would happen to make a video that was
interesting.
Yeah. So interesting stuff.
This has been fun.
Stuff. It has been fun.
I love this, Jeff. I always enjoy it.
Me too. Yeah. And for R Wayne Steiger, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Nice to have you here this morning. And until next week, continue to learn, continue to grow, read a book.
Yeah.
How about that?
At least 100 pages a week.
That's right. Well, Wayne.
Thank you, sir.
It's pancake time.
Let's go.
Good evening or good morning, ladies. Not good morning. Greetings to all of you. Enjoy your Sunday.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye.